Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. In a couple of hours, the last debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden before the 2020 presidential election will start. I am up early today and I will watch it live later at 10 a.m. Very comfortable for me. I'm actually more curious about what's gonna happen compared to the last debate even, because this time crazy stuff happened. These revelations with Rudy Giuliani and the laptop of Hunter Biden. I really wonder who will bring it up, if Donald Trump will all of a sudden bring it up, if maybe even the moderator will ask a question like that to Trump or Biden, probably more Biden, or if Biden will bring it up preemptively in order to control the framing, which I would do if I were him. The second thing that I'm interested in is what about the microphone control, the muting? Now they said they could mute Donald Trump, and let's be real, it will probably be Donald Trump who will be muted and not Joe Biden. So I really don't hope that Trump will just yell and the microphone will be muted, which will make him look really weird and weak. It also would make the moderator and the organizers look very authoritarian, but I think a lot of people would actually like it in that case. Even though, of course, he shouldn't get any special treatment being the president, but still, muting the president's mic, that is pretty tough, I think. So in any case, both campaigns, Trump's and Biden's, agreed to the terms and they will have to deal with that now, I guess. I am also very curious about the reactions and the way that the German media will cover this debate, because of course all these debates are covered in the German media as well. The first debate was the Pence-Harris debate, was also covered in pretty much great detail. So this time I really wonder how the press in Germany will try to spin this or to explain what happened to the Germans. Because as I told you already, the whole Biden scandal wasn't really covered in the German news, even though I reported on that stuff ages ago already. But it was a footnote in the German media only. And also, they reported factually completely incorrect. They said that the data was hacked, which is absolutely untrue. They said that it is dubious or suspicious or questionable. None of that is the case. It is clear evidence, and even Joe Biden bragged about all these things anyway, in front of a running video camera. So just think about the mindset of the average German NPC who thinks that he is informed so well by the public German media about the events in the United States. And that is the cool thing about these German NPCs who read Der Spiegel or watch ARD and ZDF, our public television channels. They don't know a lot about the US, but they think they are so well informed. Now, of course, they have never lived there and they don't speak the language, but there are a lot of people from the United States who are also very, very misinformed about what is going on in their own countries. So you can't really hold it against Germans that they have never lived there and don't speak the language, when in fact it doesn't really matter. Because there are so many brainwashed US Americans. The point I'm trying to make is, or the difference between the brainwashed people in the US and the NPCs in Germany is that while these brainwashed NPCs in the United States, they retweet everything that the Democratic Party says or these liberal or progressive pundits say. They keep up with the latest news about the topic, that is, politics in the US, with a really high sampling rate. The German NPC is very different here. He is like one of these people that lives in the woods and goes to the nearest small town, to the marketplace to buy supplies every 14 days. Or even better, he's one of these Japanese soldiers that decades after World War II has ended still think that they're fighting on some Pacific island. This is like the German NPCs are. But the difference between those examples I just made and the actual German NPC is he thinks that he is better informed than everybody else. They really think they know the truth about Trump. I was just chatting with a colleague of mine after a business call the other day, and he brought up the US elections. I don't bring up these things with my colleagues. He brought it up, okay? So it would be kind of rude to shoot him down, and I just followed this general direction of the conversation. So he said, isn't that crazy about the election in the US? I mean, Trump will definitely lose, and he's a Russian puppet anyway. I read that on the news, that he's totally an asset of Putin. And then I asked, well, but wasn't that debunked? Wasn't that something that the Democrats just, made up basically during the last election campaign? And then immediately I regretted that I brought that up. It made my colleague so uncomfortable that I decided to end the conversation, or to steer it at least, into another direction. Yeah, who knows, maybe you're right, I don't know, I just read something. So to be fair, sometimes, or often actually, the Democrats still bring up this Russian hoax narrative as if it wasn't debunked. But in the case of my dear colleague, it was an effect of the low sampling rate with which he is checking on news from the United States, or he accidentally gets to hear a snippet or a soundbite here or there. So not only is he believing lies, he's believing the lies from 1 year ago. And he hasn't even heard about the laptop incident. He just never read that because, as I said, it wasn't on the front page as it should have been, at least in the foreign or world politics section. No, it was somewhere on page 5. And that is why I'm so curious about how the German media, who of course know about that, they know that the Germans are not well informed about that, and let's say, hypothetically, that we will see some really aggressive and eloquent exchange between Trump and Biden tonight, or later I should say. I really wonder how they will try to explain that to Germans. My guess would be that they try to make Americans just look very weird and illogical, and we just can't understand these crazy people over there. Because that is the impression that the low sampling rate German NPC gets. First of all, remember, they believe lies, and they believe lies from a long time ago, and they miss all the stuff that happened in between, when they only get sporadic sampling points of random pieces of news. So with the information they have, they try to piece together a somewhat coherent picture of the US citizens, or of people in the US, or their decision-making processes, or their values, their lifestyle, and they just can't make heads or tails of it. They are completely at a loss when they want to understand why Americans speak and act the way they do. So most of the time they just shrug their shoulders, shake their heads, and think, all Americans are just crazy. And I guess that will become just stronger when they would follow, or when they will follow, this debate in the course of the 2020 election. So nevertheless, I am looking forward to this debate actually. Maybe I make some popcorn. I hope that we will not be disappointed, and at least there will be some entertainment value this time. As I said, in light of recent developments, I really wonder how President Trump will go on the attack and how Biden will try to defend that. Or maybe he comes up with an attack strategy of his own. And as always, the role of the moderator is of course key, and especially this time with the new debate rules, I'm also curious about what that will do. Of course, I try to make a video where I comment on what I thought was important about the debate, from my perspective of course, as always. Catch you guys again later. Servus, Kameraden!